Welcome to Morocco's third largest city, Tangier. I'm standing in the Grand Soko, which is the central kind of square here in Tangier, in the old heart of the city center. And this is a really good place to understand this city. You can see beautiful colonial buildings with colonial style lampposts. You can see this amazing mosque with this very Moroccan style minaret, and it's very, very ornate. And then over here on this side, they have an amazing thing called the Reef, which is a French style cinema that's still open to the public, and inside there's a very large and beautiful theater. A poet once called this city bipolar, in the fact that Europeans wanted to come to this city to experience the kind of allure of the East, the African experience, this kind of mystical Moroccan Islamic world, whereas many Africans and people from this part of the world wanted to come to Tangier to experience the cosmopolitan and very vibrantly liberal city of Tangier. You can really feel this, and everywhere walking around this city is just this contrast between old and new, between East and West, between Islamic and Christian, and there's so much to explore. So there's a gate over here. We're gonna head into it. That's the center of the Medina. Let's do it.
Hola, che tal?
Che tal?
Bien?
This
Bene? Tutti a posto?
Tutto a posto?
Che bello caldo oggi, eh? Piove, milanese, Roma.
Tú hablas todos los idiomas, ¿no?
Claro que sí, todo.
Sí, claro
Porque
que
yo
sí.
soy bereber.
Ok.
Tengo la scuola di arte.
Ok, está bien,
from
está
States?
bien, está bien.
Di dove? Italiano?
Yo como.
Di donde eres? Di donde eres?
¿Qué piensas?
Brasil.
Brasil.
Brasilero.
¿Por qué?
Porque tú tienes cara muy blanca.
Sí, pero no brasileño, ¿no?
Italiano.
No.
Io tengo casa bereber, di artisanía.
No, gracias. No,
Di donde
gracias.
eres? Where you from? States?
States.
Seattle, Massachusetts.
Now we're walking through the old Medina of Tangier, and I'm not gonna lie, I've been trying to make this shot for the last 5 minutes, but every time I pick up my camera, someone comes and is trying to take me to their shop. So it is what it is. This being my first time in Morocco, it's meeting a lot of expectations, but it's also very different than what I imagined. When I was thinking of Morocco, I would think of these small streets in the Medina, these small little passages in this old kind of world with the tile. It's absolutely beautiful. The doorways here in the Medina, I heard, are very interesting, as the doorways are a way to symbolize how much money your family has. So the more ornate the doorway is, the more money the family has. So if we come this way, we can see that they paint everything in these blues and these whites, and they have these arches in this very Islamic style. Here's a great example of a beautiful doorway painted in this old kind of Moroccan style with this old metal. Wow, it's fantastic. Oh, wow. It's crazy. Oh, beautiful. What is this? So I just stumbled on this open air Riyadh style mosque. You can see on the inside there's actually a courtyard, and the imam is right there looking at me. Nice guy. And beautiful, beautiful tile work. It's crazy the things you can find just down random alleyways here. I mean, look at the beautiful tile work. Whew, it's really, wow, it's astounding. It's really like throwing me off a little bit how much cool stuff you can find here just randomly, totally randomly. Now, Tangier was always known as a city of poets, a city of artists, and many people flocked here during the French occupation in the early 1900s. Wow, you can get really lost in here. It's really hard to know where to go. Famous authors from England, from Spain, from France, and even famous painters like Monet spent a lot of time in Tangier, as the city was so full of life, so full of color, and so full of inspiration for many people. In my mind, Tangier was always this narrow, streeted city with dark little corridors, with people smoking pipes and hash, people writing, and people reading under candlelight. While that, of course, is probably romanticized, I think that there is a little bit of truth to that kind of ideology, and you can walk down any of these little streets here in the Medina and get lost in a situation that's very similar to what I just described. To better understand Tangier in context, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the history of this place. So Tangier is located on the basically most northwestern point on the African continent. This land has been occupied by many different people. First, the Carthaginians, the Romans, the Phoenicians were here, using this area as a port, a very important place to continue their conquest and to expand their control over the Mediterranean area. In the 8th century, the Arabs came here bringing Islam and changing the culture from a typical Mediterranean Roman culture to a very Middle Eastern oriented culture. The Arabs remained in control of this land until the 16th century, when the Moroccans and their Moroccan king took this land and forever changed it, intermixing the Arab culture that was founded here in Tangier, specifically with the Berber and the Amazigh culture that is very different, that Sahara kind of interesting kind of mixed North African thing that's going on here. Walking deeper through the story, after the First World War, the French colonized Tangier specifically, and they were here for 30 years. France colonized a lot of Morocco, but after World War II finished, they actually lost Tangier, which then became part of the Spanish Empire for about 30 years as well. Assalamu alaikum. You can really feel this Spanish culture mixed with the French culture, as almost everybody here speaks 3 languages. They speak Moroccan Arabic, which is also called Darija. It's actually quite different than traditional Arabic. People here also speak Spanish, and people here also speak French. You can find a lot of the buildings look quite French as far as the colonial feel to it, but a lot of the intrigue of the city and a lot of the inspiration today and the connection with modern day Spain shows you that it really does have this connection with Spain that's stayed for a long period of time. In the 60s, the Spanish decided to give Tangier up, and it went back to the Kingdom of Morocco, which re-consolidated their power after years and years and years of European colonization. The reason this city is so special for so many people is that the city for nearly 40 to 50 years was this kind of free international zone, a semi-French, semi-Spanish, semi-Moroccan, semi-Arab, semi-European, semi-African place, a place where people could exchange ideas, where people could live the life that they wanted to live, which is why it drew so many famous poets and writers and artists to the city. There was a boom of knowledge and a boom of education happening here, and it made the appeal and allure of Tangier so much more appealing. I'm not gonna lie, this is one of the most confusing places I think I've ever been. It's incredibly impossible to find your way out of here, which is fun. No. Yes, yes.
YouTube, yeah.
What? YouTube, yeah. Bread.
Yeah.
Nice. Khubz.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
It's Moroccan.
Yes. Khubz. Bread.
Khubz, yeah.
Khubz.
Very good.
You make.
Yeah.
All right.
It's mom. Mom is.
Your mom makes it.
Yeah.
All right. You speak Spanish?
Huh?
¿Hablas español?
It's Shuia.
Shuia.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where you from?
America.
Yeah.
Welcome. Thank you, man. Thank you. Nice khubz. All right,
Yeah.
guys. See you.
Goodbye.
Ciao. Absolutely. All right. See you.
€1.
€1. This has to be one of the most strange places I've filmed, because it's quite challenging to get anything done, because people keep stopping me from filming and trying to guide me through the Medina for money, sell me hash. That's already happened 3 times. Good stuff, brother. Good stuff. No, thank you, my man. Or ask me, or simply just stop me and ask me for money. So what I will say, comparative to when you travel through Turkey and people try to show you their shop, they will very rarely ask for money, but it seems here it's like the standard to kind of ask you for money. So speaking of hash, this is one reason why Tangier is so famous and why many artists did come here as well, is because hash is basically an oil product that comes from marijuana. It's THC, and it's found everywhere here, and it's incredibly cheap. And there's always been a culture of people smoking it here, both Moroccans and foreigners. Could it have been the inspiration for one of Monet's great paintings? Could it have been the inspiration for a beautiful novel written by Truman Capote? I don't know. Probably. As I keep walking through the White City, I will tell you, if there's any place to know a little bit about history before you come here, I think Morocco is certainly that. I think many people kind of put it in this Middle Eastern, North African kind of context. The people are Muslim and they think of it just as a similar country to Syria, similar country to Iraq, but it's really totally different. There's so much underneath the surface here. There's so much beauty to be found, and there's so much mix of things that it creates this completely different place than kind of what I was expecting. As the rain begins to fall, I've made it to the center of the Kasbah. The Kasbah is the old palace for the old sultans of this region. So here you can see the old palace walls. Woo! Got a little bit of lightning going on here. And over here we have just some beautiful buildings. There's so much variation in architecture and culture, in people's clothing, in tiles, in colors, in street cats. I mean, there's just so much stuff going on here. It's really unbelievable. And on the outside of the Kasbah, I'll share with you the absolute beauty that is the coastline here in Tanger. So the Tanger sits almost in like a natural bay, and here they've built a port with one of the main mosques. You have the Kasbah here overlooking it, of course a great defensive area. This way you've got the Atlantic Ocean. You can actually see Spain, and if you look that way, if there's a clear day, you can see the Rock of Gibraltar, and then there is the Mediterranean Sea. So you can think of this as really the Strait of Gibraltar, of course, but really the opening of Africa, and also the opening of the Mediterranean. So lots of different things going on here. So I want to talk about something a little bit more political now that I'm standing on the coastline. So here's Spain, of course. Here is Morocco, and this body of water, the Strait of Gibraltar, which is only 14 kilometers wide, it serves as a very, very, very strong division between the people there and the people here, between the EU and between Africa, between modernity and between a developing nation. There is a small city just this way called Ceuta. Ceuta is actually an enclave of Spain that is in, oh shit. I'm gonna finish this story. I just have to escape the rain that I can see coming aggressively behind me. It all changed so fast. Okay, I just got in an absolute monsoon. That was not good. Holy God. Whew. Crazy stuff. I haven't been this completely drenched in so long. My shoe deeply has water in it. Wow. It was crazy. I could see the storm coming, and then it just came so fast. I could see it. You know, you could see it over the water. Sometimes that happens. So I'm gonna dry off and I'm gonna tell you guys the story of Ceuta. Whew. So I had to duck into a small cafe to finish this story. A very cool little cafe. That was crazy. I don't think they experience a lot of weather like that here. We've had a lot of weird weather this year, so it kind of is what it is. So for the rest of the story about Ceuta, I've ordered some mint tea. We got the guy, he's making some mint tea over here. Very excited about it. Okay, so 45 minutes later, feeling a little bit drier, had a tea, feeling good. So over here we've got Ceuta, Spain. It's just past that peninsula that you guys just saw, and it is an enclave of Spain, an enclave of the European Union. This has a lot of geopolitical interest, both for Moroccans and for the European Union. The center of this is the refugee crisis, and especially the massive refugees that have been coming from Africa. Since there is European soil that is technically in Africa, there are many Africans that have come to Morocco to try to basically illegally cross into Ceuta, because the European Union has a policy that once you touch foot on European soil, the European Union has to deal with you. They can't send you directly back. They can't they can't just simply deport you. It's just not the policy. So Quetta has become a place of political tension between Morocco and Spain, as Spain banned Morocco from easily accessing their ports. Morocco then basically opened their borders to Quetta and let all of these refugees who've been trying to get in to basically storm the borders of Quetta, overwhelming their border security and allowing thousands of people to go into the Spanish territory. This obviously has very serious problems, as Spain and Morocco are only separated within 15 kilometers of each other, but the policies in place both by the Spanish government, the European Union, and the Moroccan government basically put a lot of people at a disadvantage. But the people that are the most at disadvantage are the local Moroccans, who many of which can look at Spain but never visit, as most Spanish people can of course look at Morocco, come and visit, and then go back home. It's this weird dichotomy of existence here in Tangier that is so impressive, and I think it really is the story, the namesake of this city. It's the city of dichotomy, the bipolar city, the city that has so much good, so much bad, so much positive, so much negative, and so much openness for some, and so much kind of a closed world like ideas for others. So it's just a strange thing that the borders, the sea can be such a strong border, such an opening for the world, but such a closure for others. As I headed home soaked, cold, and beat down from a day of challenging filming, Tangier continued on, as it always has. Even after a month in this beautiful city, I feel like I only scratched the surface. I'd love to come back in the future and see what's changed, to see if time will continue to mold this place. Maybe I'll come back and find that the only thing that's changed was myself. Only time will tell, inshallah. That's gonna do it for us in Tangier. If you liked the video, make sure to like and subscribe, hit that notification bell, always super helpful for me, and stay tuned for the next Morocco video. Adios, amigos.